Mr. McConnachie, when did you learn about the whistleblower complaints? On what date?
Mr. Chair, thank you for the question. I believe that, I'll give you the exact date, on February 16th, it was ISET had received the confidential file from PCO.
When did you learn of the RCGT report findings?
Mr. Chair, the first working draft of the document we had requested was delivered on September 8th. And that was a hastened version that hadn't been through their quality control process because we were having internal discussions about the matter.
When was the RCGT report commissioned?
The contract was issued on March 17th.
And you hadn't seen an initial draft in May?
In May, we received an interim brief from RCGT with a draft report that frankly was not acceptable to us. It had language that was not helpful, and it was as a result of that we decided to dig deeper and conduct additional procedures.
A bit different than September, but thank you for the precision. When was the minister made aware of the RCGT findings? I do not have the date that the deputy minister communicated with the minister, but I do know that the briefing note was signed by the deputy minister on September 27th. So the deputy minister was going to brief the minister on findings imminently on June 7th. Did that happen or no?
I don't have any awareness of that.
There's a quote, so I'm going to offer a series of quotes. They're from you.
Certainly.
So this one in context is, quote, the deputy is lining up a discussion with the minister imminently to take the pulse. That was June 7th. So that didn't happen?
I don't know if it did or not. It's possible that that was an action that was being proposed at the time, but I can't speak for the deputy or the minister.
I have a quote from you. It says, it's unlikely that certain members of the board or the entire board and executives are going to be able to continue to serve, like they've kind of lost the confidence. So really, the discussion will be the mechanisms for getting them out, close quote. Then you said, quote, the minister is going to flip out when he hears the stuff and he's going to want an extreme reaction like shut it all down, close quote. What changed the minister's mind and gave him confidence in the board?
Well, those remarks were made in the August, early September timeframe, well before the minister had ever been briefed. As I indicated in my opening remarks, it was speculation on my part. It was inappropriate. I regret the remarks. But I do think on the notion of the minister flipping out, it is normal for any senior official to, or minister for that matter, to react strongly when we've had some findings of, through the exercise.
So I just want to take a step back for the timeline again. You said the minister was going to be briefed on June the 7th, and then...
I did not say that, sir.
The deputy is lining up a discussion with the minister imminently to take the pulse. You did say it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it happened, though, sir.
Okay. So this is the challenge. So if we just stick to what actually happened versus what we would have preferred to have had happened, then that will match up with the recordings that we have, and then we can get to the bottom of this. Did the minister see or get a readout on the Osler report?
I don't know if he did or not, sir.
Did you?
Yes, we were provided a debrief a verbal debrief by the STDC.
Was it a whitewash?
I don't know.
Okay. You said it was? You referred to it as the, quote, Osler whitewash investigation. You went on to say, quote, they could have done it in a way that exonerated the board and scapegoated Leah, end quote. I expect you were referring to Ms. Lawrence to your left. To your right, my left. Was it the RCGT report that gave him confidence in the board that they need not be fired? Because it found that there was $48 million in suspected wrongdoing. The minister referred to this at committee as a forensic audit. It was, of course, not that. It was a fact-finding exercise, and this is why Canada's Auditor General has launched an investigation. It also found wrongdoing in a sample of only 21 projects, and it said the conflict of interest rules were not followed. Is this what gave confidence to the minister, that readout?
I'm sorry, which readout are you referring to?
Well, the RCGT report that detailed the wrongdoing and failure to follow the conflict of interest regime.
Well, Mr. Chair, our interpretation of the RCGT report is that the findings that were made do not constitute wrongdoing or misconduct.
Okay.
We had significant discussions internally as to whether or not even these issues would constitute a breach of the contribution agreement.
Well,
and frankly, it didn't even rise to that standard.
Well, it rose to the standard to get Canada's Auditor General's attention. You said it was going to be shut down and everyone would be fired, but instead, nothing was shut down and nobody was fired. As soon as it became a political problem, the tone changed very dramatically, and the minister isn't firing anyone. And then we saw that a foundation that shares the name of the chair of the board was receiving funding from the government and praise from the minister. So I'm very curious in what changed the direction, and I have one question for you. Do you believe the whistleblowers?
Quick response.
Mr. Chair, those remarks that were made were speculative in nature. I believe a portion of what the whistleblowers have alleged based on the facts that have been identified in the RCGT report, and I believe that nothing was found to date that would be construed as misconduct or wrongdoing. There may be further findings in the Auditor General's examination, but I'm not privy to that.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Barrett.